Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in the words of the PELE YOETZ by Pesach, still talking about the holy characteristics of the Matzos Shemura, the guarded matzah from the time that it was harvested until it ends up on your table. We ensure that there's not one drop of water that touched this wheat. It is fitting to appoint shorim, guards, in the place where they are making the matzah. Sheyinakru hakelim heitev bein lisha lelisha, in order that they clean off the kelim, the vessels between each and every kneading process. V'shaloi yasu rikikin dakim v'yumunachim bli esek. They shouldn't just make little tiny matzah cakes and leave them there without being involved with them. So now the PELE YOETZ is speaking about what takes place in the actual matzah bakery. And because we know that there's a rule, you have 18 minutes from the moment that you combine the water and the flour together until you finish baking the matzah. And that reason is because if we allow the dough to sit around too long, we are concerned that it will be mischametz, it will turn into chametz, even though, why? Because you added water already, and if the water and the flour sits too long, it could turn into chametz. And therefore, the halacha is, while you're making the matzah, you have to constantly be working the matzah, working the dough, moving it around, because as long as it's moving around, it's being rolled around, it's being flattened and the like, it doesn't have time for the water and the flour to turn into chametz. Nevertheless, you still only have 18 minutes from start to finish to make that matzah. And therefore he writes, don't make little matzah cakes, and they just lie there on the table without a person being misasek, working with them, moving them around, flipping them over and the like. And then you take, anyone who's ever been to the matzah bakery or has seen a video or a picture of it, there's a long pole, and they take the dough that's soft at this time, and they sling it over the pole, and they put as many on the pole as they can at once. And they put it into the oven, and it cooks, it bakes in the oven. When they do this, as a person has to be careful, since that the water and the flour is mixed together, if it's sitting around too long, if it doesn't get baked at the right time, if they didn't move it enough, flipping it over back and forth, so then it turns out that the chametz is, the matzah becomes chametz, and a person that would eat that matzah is oichel chametz b'Pesach. They end up eating chametz on Pesach. They are roishe am kodesh, and therefore, on the heads of the holy nation, mutal lifkoyach einayim, it is incumbent upon them to open their eyes. Veligdor pirtzos, and they have to seal up the breakage that in the walls. Ulahashiv rabim me'ovain, and return the masses from the sins that they're involved in. V'lamud ala mishmar, and stand up on the guardings. L'man yelchu b'derech tovim al pi haTorah, in order that the people will go in the right way according to the Torah. So the PELE YOETZ must be speaking about issues that were taking place in his time, and that was that when they were baking the matzahs, they were careless, and because of their carelessness, so they were compromising the halacha. And if you compromise the halacha when it comes to making matzah, from the time of kitzir, from the time that you harvest it until the time that it's finished baking, anywhere along the way which is compromising the halacha and the way in which you're caring for the wheat and the flour and the water all together, what is the result? The result is that you could end up eating something called chametz, which on Pesach is a chi of kares, means a person is getting cut off. So spiritually, from this world and the world to come. And that's a very bad thing for a person to get. It's one of the harshest punishments that a person could receive. So the PELE YOETZ must have been aware how careless people were being, and he's writing over here this paragraph to be mechazik, to strengthen them, to make sure they do things right. And that's the wonderful thing that we have in today's day and age of kashrus organizations and the world of the industry of kashrus, that basically any box of matzah that you're going to receive that has a valid hechsher on it, it's shmor matzah, has a valid hechsher on that box, you can rely upon the hechsher that everything was done kedasu kedin according to the halacha, that the matzah that you are eating, that shmor matzah, that whether it's going to be that you're only eating on the nights of the Siddharim, or you're going to be a little bit more machmar on yourself and you're going to go all out and eat the shmor matzah, the lechem, the bread that is the healing food that's going to heal our nefesh, instill with us amunah and the like. You're going to eat it all of the days of Pesach. So you can be rest assured that that matzah was made according to halacha, which means from the time of the kitzir, the time that they harvested the wheat, not one drop of water came in contact with it. And when they got to the matzah factory and they were making the matzahs, they did everything speedily, with zrizos, with alacrity and quickness, in order to make sure that there is impossible that there's any chametz that got into this matzah. It was baked and from start to finish within 18 minutes, and therefore it is kosher matzah lepesach, to fulfill the mitzvahs of achilas matzah, eating the matzah on the night of the seder and the like. So this is a great mitzvah. It's one of the central mitzvahs that we have, that the whole Yom Tov of Pesach revolves around. As we know, the Torah calls it Chag HaMatzos. It's the festival of the matzah, not the Chag of the Moror, not the Chag of Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's the Chag HaMatzah. It's the festival of the matzah. The matzah is the intrinsic, central theme to the entire Yom Tov, and this is where the refuah to the nefesh comes from. And therefore we should be zeichem Yetz Hashem to eat the matzah ala seva with satisfaction, and should fill us up be'ez Hashem, fill us up with the kedusha, with the yirah shamayim, with the emunah that we spoke about. And then that's the chosim Yetz Hashem as Klal Yisrael. The reason we have matzah is because they left b'chipazayin, they left the galus, the exile of Egypt, instantaneously. There was no time to let the bread rise. May we be zeicha that in our times the geula shleima, the ultimate redemption, comes b'chipazayin, in an instant, and all that we're left with taking from this land of Gashmias, America and the like, wherever you might be, the only thing that we take with us is the pure holy breads called matzah, which doesn't have time to rise, and that's exactly the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it. Have a wonderful day.